Okay, are we going with the action plan properly, guys? If you've done a couple of them now, you're probably okay with drawing it, hey? Alright, so that was 2A1. For 2A2, they asked for the equation of the regression line. So you can take a look there, that was the equation. Do you guys agree? Okay. So 3 marks, hey, for that line. 3 marks. Okay, then in the third question, they ask you to then actually draw the regression line on the board. Counterpart. So I just wrote some working down, and I would like you to also write something down, okay? Don't just draw your line, but just at least drag something down here. So what I did, and this is on that page where it was line of basement on the one side, regression line on the other side, right? There on that page, I listed all the steps for when you actually have to draw your line. So you need to choose any two values. Remember, we also did an example of this. And two x values, preferably two that are quite far apart. Sub those two x values into your equation, and that will give you points. So I chose 10 and 100. You could have chosen 20 and 75, whatever. It doesn't really matter, as long as it's a small-ish number and a big-ish number, like the x value that you have. Right, so I went with 10 and 100, and then I got these 2 points. Those are then the 2 points that you plot in order to draw your line. Right, you can also look at the last one, but I'll show you the line just now again with the question 4. They were asking what physics mark do we expect someone to have if they have a math mark of 68, sorry. So you just have an 8 equals 68 to that equation that you got. Or you could have used the calculator method that I showed you just now, right? Where you type 68 equals and then you do all the steps to get to the answer we did like this. Can we find those calculations, right? I'm just going to show you quickly what it should then kind of look like. So whichever two x values you chose, obviously it might be different from mine, but I got 10 and 8,88. So I just zoom in there, it's at 10 on the x-axis, and what I kind of guess, estimated as 3,88. And then for the other point, it was 188,98. So again, in line with 100 on the x-axis and 88,98 on the y-axis. And then when you have those 2 points, you connect them with a straight line, and that is then your regression. Right, so this is not the line of best fit where you take your ruler and you try and find the same amount of points above and below. Okay, this is the regression line. So you find the equation and then you use the equation to get 2 points. Okay, so you have to be very sure of what they actually asking. Are they asking to the line of best fit? So that's just drawing one that kind of fits or the regression. Right, next exercise, you had to do this OGAI one, so I did a lot of work on the OGAI, but they were asking, I don't know if you guys noticed that this OGAI was a bit different because they had the percentile on the y-axis. I actually also started by calculating. What I did was I looked at my highest point, I was like, oh, okay, so there are 100 males, right? They are 100 people. So then I calculated the percentiles, but actually they gave us the percentile here on the side. All right, so it was a different type of OGAI. So they want us to say for approximately what type represents the 20th percentile. So that doesn't make sense if we then go to 20 on the percentile axis. Right? Draw a line to your OGAI, draw it going down, and you can zoom in there. I think that is what's that 168. All right, so that's what I say for the 20th percentile, 168 cents. All right, so go to 20, 20 percentile and then down. For B, they asked what percentile is a height of 190 centimeters. That's a different type of question. They're now giving us the height, and we need to answer percentile. So what we actually have to do, guys, they're asking for 190 centimeters. You have to go the other way around. You have to draw a line from 190 up to your O, guys, and then across to the percentile, right? And it wasn't quite the 100th percentile. It was just below 100. So I said 99%. But maybe if you want to write 99.5 percentile, that is fine. But guys, if we're looking at the O, guys, what is the height of the 100th percentile? It's that one there, hey, 195. Okay, the 100th percentile is the tallest bird, right? Of the whole range. So you could actually say 100th percentile for this. Kind of looks like it is, but the 100th percentile is at 195. 190 would be just below. Okay, so I said 99. All right, now guys, if they ask you for the approximate value of the median, at what percentage is the median in your data? The median cuts it in half, okay? So it's actually at 50%. So that's what you have to do here. It was actually at the 50th percentile. So sorry, even when I gave you this one to do, I didn't notice that it had percentile on the side. You have to go to 50 on the y-axis and then draw your line going down. So something close to that value there. I have to say the 173.5, but you could have possibly said 174. Yeah, I'll show you now on mine. So when I went to 50, yeah, there, sorry, I drew my line, drew it down. Does kind of look like 173.5, hey? Okay, that's 170, 171, 2, 3, and then 0.5. But if your line went a little bit past and it's at 174, we do look at your line before. That gives you something around there. Then for your interquartile range, it's Q3 minus Q1. So guys, what percentage is Q3? What do you think? Q3. The 3/4, what percentage is 3/4? 75%, hey. And Q1, that's at a quarter, that was at 25%. So for your Q1 value, you actually have to go to 25% on the y-axis. And for Q3, 75%. All right, let's take a look. See if you agree with my values. So I went to 25 for Q1. Thank you. 25 there. All the way across, and then that looks like 169. Hey, it's actually like just before, but I'm not going to do like a 0.8 or 0.9. I think it's fine to just say 169. And then when you go to 75 on the y-axis, all the way across, and then you take that line down to your x-axis, that is definitely 179. Okay, that was actually exactly on that line. So the interquartile range, the difference between these two from 179 or 179 minus 169 is 20. But obviously, if these values of yours are slightly different, then your interquartile range will also be slightly different. But we will start with your values. Yeah, we'll find that one. For 7, they asked you to do a whole bunch of correlation coefficient calculations, 3 of them, and then you had to comment on them, which I thought was silly because they were all basically kind of the same. So for the first question, they wanted you to calculate the correlation between age and height. But guys, because they said it in that order, they said age first and then height, you must take age as x and height as y. Okay, they didn't actually say that, but remember I said whichever they are mentioning first, that is x values, and then what they mention second, that would be height. You don't forget that 0.98. For the next one, it was age, so that's again x, and then foot length was y. Now this one, the reason why I just wrote it with 3 decimals is because I thought, you know, if you round it to 2 decimals, it's the same. But this one was actually 975. I can't remember what that one was. Did anyone write it? I think it was 98 something, 983 or something. So I just thought maybe we're going to ask you to compare them and then if you talk about the 3 decimals. But it's fine if you just go 0.8. And then for height and foot length, then height was x and then foot length was y, so I got 0.96 for that. And then in B, they said in each case, interpret what the value of R tells you. Jesus, we were just about the correlation. So guys, because they were all three basically the same, I just say it's very strong positive and linear in all three cases. But if they want you to go into more detail, and this is now where in your exam you're going to have to look at the mark analysis. Okay? If it's a 6-mark question, then this is not going to be enough. Does that make sense? If this is a 2-mark question, then sure, just say very strong positive linear for all of it. But if they're saying 6 marks, describe the correlation, then you're probably going to have to say, the older you are, the taller you are, right? To describe that. And the older you are, the longer your foot is as well. And also the taller you are, the longer your foot is. So then you're actually going to have to speak about all three of them. So you'll have to just look at them like that. Then number 8, I think when I looked at it yesterday, I completely misinterpreted what it was saying. I didn't see that they said that you had to draw a scatter plot. Did you guys do that? No, did you do it? Oh, I know. Did anyone else? Anyone else with 4 scatter plots? Okay. I'll skip it. Okay, so sorry guys, I really didn't see that. I just saw the first or you're talking about something because I even said I promise it's the last one, that first one. So what they actually wanted us to do, if you read through it, and also it was weird that they put these tables at the end and not at the beginning. And I just like skimmed through the question yesterday. I didn't actually read through it properly. They wanted you to find the equation of the regression line for the given data, leaving row 1 the x values and row 2 the y values. And then this is what I didn't see. Draw the scatter plot of the data and draw the regression line on it. So yeah, they actually wanted us to do the scatter plot, which I didn't do because I wasn't sure if anyone would have. But Anna, you did, sorry. So I actually just calculated the regression line. I don't know if that's what you guys also did. That's what I thought originally. That was what we were meant to do. So for table A, if row 1 is x and row 2 is y, then this is the equation that we get. And for table B, same thing. If row 1 is x and row 2 is y, then that's the equation. That's actually what I wanted you guys to practice, just finding the regression line equations. And then for B, I'm going to move that across. For the next question, they then said, if you now swap the x and y values around. So if in this case here, you're now saying that row 1 or row 2, those are now your x values, and the values in row 1 are your y values. Then they want to keep the calculation with you. So those are then the 4 equations that we mentioned. And then we'll see, guys, they were asking, sorry, what effect does switching the 2 variables have on the regression line? Now, it's not really something that you can see easily if you didn't actually draw them. But if we're just looking at the equations, right? So we're looking at the 2 equations for A. Guys, it's the same values, right? But because we had x and y like this in the first question here, and then x and y like this, you see how different the equations look, right? So our A value, these 2 values, here is quite a big positive number. Here it's a negative number. What does this represent, guys? If you just think about a straight line graph. The constant term, the one that's not with the x, I'm thinking in terms of this, y equals mx plus c, and then we have y equals a plus bx, right? This is the straight line equation that we used to working with, that we have worked with before. The regression line is also a straight line, right? You see that these two equations are actually the same. They just use different variables. So here, our c value, which is the y-intercept, which we are used to working with, in the regression line, the a value is actually going to be the y-intercept of that line. Right? The constant term always in a straight line equation is the y-intercept. And then what is m? We know that m is the gradient. Now, what variable have they used in the regression line equation in the place of m? B. Okay, so guys, you can actually talk about the y-intercept and the gradient if that ever comes up in this type of question. So A would be the y-intercept of that regression line, and B would be the gradient of the number in front of X or the gradient. Yeah, I'm not really sure what they wanted us to say here, but if I'm just looking at my two gradient values, for example, for table A, they're obviously different, right? But that's not going to earn you a mark if they're asking you to compare the gradients. Guys, the higher a gradient value, the steeper the line is going to be. So if your gradient is 10 versus 2, right? The one with the gradient is 10 is going to be steeper than the one with the gradient of 2. So which one of these two values is the bigger number? 1,72 or 0,35? 1,72. So you could possibly say that the first regression line for table A has a steeper gradient, a steeper slope. Maybe. Gradient is the actual value, and the slope, I suppose, is the slope slash gradient. Yeah. It's not the gradient, it's the y, it's a y. And that's also because for this one, because it's now the other thing, and that's what Hannah is saying here, is that our A value was positive for the first equation that we got. And then when we swapped the values around, the A value was now negative, right? So that means that for this line, if you had to actually draw in your y-intercept, it would be a positive y-intercept. This one would have a negative y-intercept. I think I'll write that next to it. Oh, you guys done copying that for the Okay, so I'm just going to write next to A here. First line as can I do a plus B positive like that? This y int second line as a negative. Guys, with these types of questions where they ask you to compare things, especially in data handling, it's good to be as specific as possible, right? So like I said now, you can't just say, if they're asking you how or compare the two equations, you can't just say they're different, right? That's not actually that. What does that mean? Okay, you would have to say, like, the one had a positive y-intercept, the other one now has a negative one. Or this, it has a steeper slope or steeper grade, that kind of thing. Okay, and then you can also say similar things for the other two equations that I think I'm. I'm quickly going to hand out your self studies so that we can just look over that before we move on to the Venn diagrams. Where did I put them now? So this one was out of 50. I still just take the picture. I think that one was. Not a lot older than you either. The bottom that's I think the mom old school kind of it was a wrong number and not right not actually. That's not actually. Right? Okay, while you guys are checking that, I'm gonna start handing out the note for today. So long. Um, So that's all another direction that one. So that's all for the other item.
Uh, wait. What would this?
Right now.
No one.
Yeah, one probability graph, which is Venn diagram. So in the scope, I'm not sure what it says, but the only thing that will be tested on the probability is Venn diagram. So the original plan was to do this kind of a whole chapter, but we haven't been able to do that. So we decided that we'll do that at the beginning. Okay, guys, I just quickly want to show you some common errors on the self-study. Sorry, it's a bit blurry there. Maybe if I do this and this. No, it's not really better. Guys, we said for this one that you could do either, yeah, you could see it as a 3 or continuous. I kind of don't agree with that. I think there's, if you do 16, you're not gonna only be 17 at the end of the year's time, like you 16 in one day, right? Like you can. So time is something good to me. So I think all of you guys did probably get it. But anyway, we lost both off. Yeah, but I think that it should be continuous. So according to me, and I think the way that it will be lost at the end of the year is if you have 5, I think okay, so let's just time is always continuous. Even if it's say in years, right? If you just think of yourself, you guys are now what 17 and a number of days, but in another second you're gonna be a second older, right? That kind of thing. So it's not, they are in between values when it comes to time. So yeah, let's keep it at continuous, but for this, we marked both options correct. This is fine if everyone got these two. We just had to do the cumulative frequency. This is obviously just the stuff that's on the data sheet or the diagram sheet, sorry. But yeah, we'll look at the rest now. So guys, for this box and whisker, many of you drew the box and whisker like onto the number line, maybe have a number line, and then the box and whisker must be above it. Alright, so you can see there it was 1 mark for having the scaled number line. So quite a few of you lost that mark. Then you got a mark for the structure. So for having, and I see on the memo they have a little dot, but we also normally do like a shorter line, right? You can also do a little dot if you want. So just that kind of structure that it is a box and it has the little lines on the side. And then 3 marks for having the correct values. So it was 1 mark for having your maximum and minimum, basically. And then the rest was CA because you had to calculate Q1, Q2, and Q3 in the previous question. All right, so yeah, these, if you didn't have these exact values, you should see that I wrote CA next to yours. Okay, so don't think about that too much. For question 3, this is now where the OVAD was given. So for 3.1, I also think everyone got this one right. Actually, I can't remember. Maybe I'm forgetting some that someone got it wrong, but I think everyone got 14. So it was actually a mark for 42, a mark for the 28, and then a mark for the answer. So that was actually 3 marks there. For 3.2, guys, got 1 mark for the value of the median, so either 88 or 89. The second mark I would have done on the OVAD. So just check, there should be a tick on your OVAD, which was at like 25.5, I think it was just about 25. You have to draw that line. So this question is 2 marks, yes, 1 mark at the answer and 1 mark on the OVAD. For 3.3, you got 3 marks there. Some of you had slightly different answers here, but it's fine because yeah, it kind of depends on the OVAD. So it was a mark for Q1, a mark for Q3, and a mark for minus in there. In your table here, a few of you left out N equals 50. Alright, you do have to total your frequency, unfortunately. Cumulative frequency, it was 2 marks for that column. And then for points plotted, guys, many of you left out this first point. Okay, maybe you have to ground the OVAD at the lower limit of the first interval, which was 60. Alright, so you need to have a point at 60 and 0. So that was, but if you left that point out, you would have lost 1 more. Okay. So that was the diagram sheet. Just quickly, the actual calculations. The modal interval was 20 to 50. I'm pretty sure everyone got that. For the estimated mean, I think everyone got that as well. That is working with your answer. So now it depends on whether you saw it as discrete or continuous. I can't remember now which one goes with which. But you either got 35,44 or 35,94. Right? You would have gotten 3 marks for either of those 2 answers. Then for 1.2, guys, it's just quite difficult to mark because again, you have to be quite specific In the sense that if you're looking at the actual memo, you had to, yeah, and it was difficult to, yeah, this was a tough one for me to mark. According to the memo, you actually had to state that the mode was 20 to 30. So you have to like aim your marketing at people between the ages of 20 and 30, that kind of thing. But then some of you said let's aim it at the mode because of this, and you explained your reasoning quite well. So yeah, in some cases, depending on not how much you wrote, but whether I could see that you kind of knew what you were talking about, I would have given maybe 2 marks. Maybe you had these kind of same ideas, but I gave you 3 out of 4 because you didn't mention actual values. The thing also is that to get, it says here 1 mark for the suggestion and 1 mark for mentioning what information they're basing their suggestion on. So that's kind of what I went. If both of your suggestions were aimed at the mode, then you couldn't get a mark for that twice, if that makes sense. So you had to kind of talk about, okay, I'm going to aim my marketing at the people that are in the mode because they are my target audience, but then what about like very old people? Maybe I can aim marketing at them because they aren't very young people in that age group that fine. So you have to kind of mention 2 different things. That makes sense. A few of you just spoke about the mode and you gave like multiple ideas for the mode, and actually the mode and then something else. Okay, so if you want to chat about that, you can. But yeah, it was difficult to mark my body. 42.2, the OGAD, you guys actually drew really nice OGADs, alright? So you just you forgot about this point, which I think now you won't forget about that again because we discussed it in class, right? You have to ground the OGAD at the lower limit of the first interval. So you have to have the point 130 and 0. So I'll just show you here on the memo what the marks went for. Because it's written here at the bottom, but it's good to have it. So it was 1 mark for this point. Right, then I have to check all your points, 2 marks if you got the other points correct. Right. A 3rd mark for having a curve. So basically that's like a shape mark. Okay. So basically 4 marks, 1 mark for that point, and then 3 marks for drawing the point and connecting it. And then the 5th mark was for having your axes labeled correctly. So cumulative frequency there and arm span through. Then you will probably see on your OGAD that there are other marks as well, because when you calculated in 2.3, your median, which was approximately 147 centimeters, that you have to draw a line on the OGAD, right? So, is it even drawn here? I'm just above 100. It's not even on here. So you have to have a line from like there, right? And then down. So you would have a mark there on your outline if it was liable. So 2.3, it was 1 mark on the outline, 1 mark for the answer. Sorry, it was actually 3 marks because then you also have to say what that means, guys. So you have to say this, that 50% of the learners had an arm span of less than 100.7, whatever you got in your median, or 50% had an arm span of more than that. Okay, so there's actually a mark for the answer, a mark on the outline, a mark for the for 2.4, there was again 1 mark for now having both lines. Okay, so there should be another mark on your own guide, just you do your other 2 lines correctly. And then a mark for your Q3 value, mark for Q1, and then a mark for your range. So that was a 4 mark question. But 1 was on the own guide. Then 2.5, how many had an arm span that was greater than 152? So some of you got like a 45 or something, that's fine. Just depends on how you read it off. So it was basically a mark for the 200, which you did have to have. You did have to have the 200 because that was the total number of people, minus either 150 or 155 or 158. Yeah, 158, I think before I had 148. Something around there, and then a mark for that answer. So it could be slightly off, but it's all right. ballpark. 2 marks for the 5 number summary, which you actually had already found all of these values above. So these 2 marks will CA marks, right? If you use the same values that you calculated up there in your 5 number summary, and then everything else we've already looked at. Okay, if there are any queries, let's leave it to the last 3 minutes. Okay, and then I'll take them in. All inquiries. Hey, I'll check you later then. All right, guys, let's quickly look at Venn diagrams. We don't have a lot of time left, but let's just take a look quickly. No, I must take them in, but I'll do that at the end. So that obviously let's do exams together on all right, guys, for Venn diagrams. Now, sorry, I couldn't print this in color, and also this machine is making like funny lines on the pages. But these are just some examples that are like grade 10 kind of Venn diagrams. Sorry, I just want to put the color ones up quickly to show you. Do you guys remember doing Venn diagrams in grade 10? Not really, maybe. Okay, sorry, let me just get to that page. Okay, guys, so this is from the textbook, but it's also on the page that I've handed out to you now. So if you want to, you can, I mean, I think it's easy to see the part that they've shaded on this picture is that middle section, right? That gray section. Now, guys, you need to be able to look at a Venn diagram and you need to be able to like understand what section they're referring to. So in the textbook, unfortunately, they're using some symbols that are not in the syllabus anymore. So if you're looking here, on your page that I handed out, I put a box over that, right? You see, on your page it says A and B. All right. So you need to understand that when they're using the word and, they're talking about an overlap. Okay, and it's always an overlap. So if you want to, you can do a little, like an arrow to the word and just say that that is an overlap. Sorry, let me just quickly save this thing as a PDF and then I can put it on my iPad.